Brian, does Aaron have more say over personnel now?
No, I think, Aaron's had kind of the same input he's always had, I think, which has been a lot. I mean, he's earned a place at the table, I think. He always has. I think one of the things through this offseason, I think, is learning how to incorporate that.
How would you characterize your relationship with him at this point then?
Professional. It's always been a very professional relationship. And I think our goals are the same, right? Trying to get this team to win a championship.
Can you talk about Randall Cobb, Brian? Or can I ask you something vaguely about it?
Yeah, ask me something vague. We're kind of working through some things right now, and then nothing's official. So once we get through kind of the procedural process of some of this stuff, I'll be glad to talk to you guys more in depth about that.
Okay, so just vaguely speaking, you drafted a slot receiver in the 3rd round. Would you thought about drafting in the 2nd round? Why would you consider adding just some random unnamed slot receiver?
Well, I think obviously we're always going to do what we think is best for the Green Bay Packers, and that is the Green Bay Packers as a whole. And sometimes when you isolate it, it may not look that way, but when it incorporates other things like your quarterback and things like that, then it becomes what's best for the Green Bay Packers.
Brian, you said Monday that you were hopeful that there'd be a resolution with Aaron. When did that become apparent to you that there would be?
Well, I was always hopeful for a resolution. I always believed he would be here for camp and on time. I never really thought that would be any different. Obviously, there was a lot of work that went through that. But as far as the hopeful part about it, I was always hopeful. I think we became kind of confident, I think, as the last week rolled on.
Brian, what is the resolution? What was the resolution?
Well, I think obviously to get him back here playing and going to compete for a championship in 2021, that was kind of the resolution. I think we're working through some things still, to get to that point. But, there was a lot of communication between Aaron and his representatives all summer to kind of to get to where we are now. So we feel good about it, and I think obviously we have a very good football team. We're excited to get out there today and start to prepare for this 21 season.
Why were you hopeful that this was going to be resolved all along? Why were you optimistic that it's going to get resolved all along?
Because I think our goals were the same. We want to win a championship, here with the Green Bay Packers. I think that's I think we have a very good football team. I think, our team knows that. The players on our team know that. And I think, the goals for that are the same.
Brian, has he signed the revised contract yet? Have you finalized it?
We're working through some of those things. Nothing's been done differently to anybody's contract. And I don't really talk about the details, but nothing's been done
Is he
differently.
going to practice?
I expect it to, sure.
Brian, how trying was this offseason for you? Obviously, this news breaks at the start of the draft, the busiest time of the year for you, and then it drags out throughout with rumors that Aaron may want you fired. I know you have to set ego aside, but what's this whole thing been like for you?
Yeah, a lot of it's just irrelevant noise, and it's kind of part of this business. It's, like Ted used to say, it's part of the gig. If you want to sit in that chair, you got to be willing to sit in that chair, so to speak. So, since I've kind of, taken that chair after Ted stepped down in 2018, I mean, we, coaching change, COVID, this, so it kind of seems like that's just part of the job. There's always going to be kind of curveballs, and you got to be ready for them, and you got to be able to manage them and do what's best for the team.
Brian, did the tension and the time spent on getting this thing resolved take away anything else you wanted to get done or could get done prior to camp?
I think there's obstacles when obviously, you kind of have a plan as you hit the off season, and there's certain things you're going to do, and then all of a sudden there may be, uncontrollable things that change that, and then you have to adjust, and we adjusted. Certainly, I think if you guys that have followed us through the offseason, we've done a lot of stuff to keep this football team together in a pandemic year with the salary cap dropping. We had to be really creative, and I give Russ Ball a ton of credit there. Me and him have spent more time, sitting across from each other figuring this thing out than I probably could have ever expected. And he did a heck of a job getting us to this point. I really feel good about our football team. But, yeah, there was a bunch of obstacles this offseason to kind of get that done.
Brian,
How excited are you, relieved are you that the MVP is back under center?
Yeah, I think a player of that nature and the way he affects our football team, again, he really is what makes this thing go. It's a team game, but obviously that position you guys have known from the time I've stepped up here and when Ron Wolf was here, Ted Thompson, how important we feel that position is, how much time and effort we put into it. And, our offense last year, at times was very dominant, and he was obviously the trigger man on that whole thing. So we're excited about what we can accomplish in 21.
Randall Cobb just tweeted 6 minutes ago that he's coming home with a Packers jersey. So I know you can't confirm, but he did. Is that a specific request that Aaron made to trade for him?
again, I'm going to get into all that, and I will talk to you guys thoroughly about that as soon as some of these procedural things are done. And then just, if you can respect that, I'll give you any answer to that question at that time.
Brian, the weekend of the draft, when Mark said, yes, I've been there, Brian's been there, Matt has been there to talk to Aaron several times. To me, I thought, well, at least this is cordial. You know, it's not like he took the phone off the hook or locked the door.
Right.
So can you at least give us an idea of what those discussions were like?
I'll just, you guys have known that I kind of keep all of my conversations with our players, kind of in-house. What I will say is there was a lot of effort, not only on the people in the organization, but also on Aaron and his representation, Dave Dunn, and people to try to, find a solution here that worked for everybody. And I feel really good about it right now and where we're going.
Hey, Goody, we all need to improve and grow, right? God knows I do.
I'm sorry?
We all need to improve and grow. I know I do. We heard what Aaron said on SportsCenter to Kenny Mayne about people and culture and stuff like that. As you come out of this situation, when you self-examine, in what ways do you think you need to be better or different or grow in terms of your processes or how you deal with people?
Yeah, there's a communication a little bit. I think, as what I will say, and I will push back against, I think, there's a perception out there somehow we don't treat our players well. That's couldn't be further from the truth. I think we've always treated our players well here. I think we have a lot of players who have been here and nowhere else. You know what I mean? So there's some of that, but I think we always put those guys first. Ted was adamant about that and how we approach things, and that has carried on. But I think there is sometimes perception and reality, and there's communication lapses and stuff like that. And so I think if anything, it's just a matter of kind of the communication part of it.
How close were you or are you with getting Devontae done? I know we have the report that talks have broken off, but do you suspect that could pick up again prior to week 1?
Yeah, Devontae's really important to us, and so I won't get into the details of where we are as far as any of that, but what I will say is it's very important for us moving forward, as being him part of our football team and trying to make that work.
Brian, how would you characterize your relationship with Aaron a few months ago during the midst of this versus where you progressed to maybe the last couple of days? Has anything changed?
Yeah, nothing really. Like I said, it's very professional. He's always been very professional around here with everyone. So it's, again, I think the goals are the same, for everybody in this building. It's always been one goal, that's to win a Super Bowl. We've been very close. We have not been able to get it done the last couple of years, and I think that's frustrating for everyone. And I think, the focus now is to put that behind us and just focus on 2021 and getting there.
So what's the key over the next 5.5 months to ensure that 2021 isn't it, that you guys can find a common ground to keep this thing going?
Well, I think winning is the most important thing, right? I mean, that's the number one thing. And I think, again, I talked a little bit about the communication part, I think, and incorporating, when we make decisions, whether it's personnel, whether it's Matt and his coaching staff, whether it's Mark and what some of the things he's doing, I think, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of different angles, certainly from personnel. I got medical, I got salary cap, coaching, scouting, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's, just kind of continuing to incorporate those things with Aaron. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's earned that seat at the table to have a voice. He always has had a voice. I think it's just kind of incorporating that.
Right, even if you come to some sort of compromise now, how does this not become a distraction the rest of the season? How do you keep it from?
I think it's on all of us to make sure that doesn't. I think we've tried to forever around here to keep the team first. It's about the team. It's not about individuals. And I think the off season can be a little bit of silly season from that point of view. But once we get back into this building, it's time to put personal things behind us and focus on the team. And I think I'm confident that our guys can do that.
I mentioned a couple times.
If you had called Aaron on draft night that you took Jordan, do you think you're standing here right now dealing with this situation?
That's an interesting question. We did call Aaron on draft night, wasn't before. Let's make that clear. But we've revisited that a number of times. That's a hard question to answer, and not sure about that.
Along those lines, Brian, you've mentioned a couple times that Aaron's always had this kind of input. I imagine, a guy of that stature, et cetera. Do you feel like maybe looking back, you needed to do a better job of communicating that to him?
Sure. I mean, I think in every part of it, on every side, I think the communication could have been better. You know what I mean? And it's kind of one of those things. It's like me and Matt, for instance, we've been together for going on our 3rd year now. It gets better and better and better, right? And it's the same thing with, when I first started working closely with Russ and Mark and all that kind of thing. It gets better and better and better. There's got to be a willingness to do that. Yeah, I think it's just time on the job.
Hey, Brian, what indications do you have that Aaron's all in?
He's here, and I think I've ever seen him be here and go out there on that field and not be all in. You know what I mean? I've always been confident of that. He's a true competitor. He's a true professional. So when he steps between those white lines, I've really never seen anything other than that.
At what point do you think this kind of disconnect started? Was it the draft last year, or was it something that happened before? Or?
Yeah, I think that's probably not a question for me, so.
Brian, the drama aside, getting Jordan Love all those offseason reps, how valuable was that for him and for your assessment of him? Because if Aaron's around, he gets lost.
Yeah, no, I think it was great for Jordan, and he did a wonderful job with it. That's the really nice thing about Jordan is he's really steady Eddie. His attitude and the way he's approached all this, obviously with all the noise around it, I couldn't be happier about that. He had a really, really good offseason. We're really excited to. Obviously, he's going to get a ton of reps here over the next month, not only in practice but in obviously the preseason games, which we weren't able to do last year. So it'll be really, really good for him. I think it'll be really good for him to be around Aaron for another year, and just kind of watch him and see how he goes about his process. And this year, obviously, really kind of with being the number 2, on the field. Seeing how those game day decisions go and the communication, and he was there, but it's a different thing when you get your helmet and you're one play away from having to go in the game. So I think all that's going to be really important, and we're excited for his growth.
Brian, throughout the offseason, the line's been that you want Aaron to be here for 2021 and beyond. I know that there's been a lot of focus on getting him here for 2021, but how committed are you guys still to having him here beyond it? What needs to happen to?
Yeah, Ryan, right now we're just kind of like really focused on 2021. It's kind of a year-to-year business, as you guys know, and we'll get hopefully have a really successful season. We'll get to the other side of it and we'll figure those things out. But right now we're really focused on 2021, trying to put a little bit of this offseason behind us and move forward to the season.
I understand the focus on the here and now to achieve your goals and winning. You said that's the way to fix everything. But is there truth to the reports that if Aaron is still unhappy, he can get a trade next offseason if he chooses?
Yeah, no, I'll just say this, that as we, right now, again, there's some contractual things we have not done, and as we go through that, I'll talk about it a little bit more. But what I will say is that, I think Aaron, with the time, what he's done for this organization, I think he deserves at least the conversation every year about where we're headed, where he's headed, and to get together and we'll make decisions. The club will always determine what's best for the Green Bay Packers. But I think he's earned the right to have those discussions.
You made a lot of salary cap moves to make this season the way you want it to go. Would you call it going all in on this season in terms of how
Yeah, Tom, I'll say this, I've always felt like we're all in, I will say this season, particularly because of the pandemic, and what we've done, we've pushed it to the limit about as far as we can push it. You know what I mean? I really like our football team. Keeping it together as much as we could, I thought was really, really important. Depending on kind of where the salary cap goes, there's going to be some future pain as we move forward to try to do what we did for this season. There's no doubt about it. So, we're always all in, but this year there's certainly some decisions we made that maybe we wouldn't have in the past because we see what's out there for us.
Hey, Goody, speaking of the pandemic, it's pretty clear that if you're not really high vaccination percentage, you're at a competitive disadvantage in this league. How do you feel about where you are, and how much work do you think you need to do to get to where you need to be with your players, especially?
Sure. No, I think we're in a really good spot right now. We certainly could have. You'd love to be a little bit better, or close to 100%, but I think we're in a really good spot right now. It's interesting because as the roster changes, it changes your percentages and things like that. And I think the league and the NFLP are still working through some of that to be exactly what the different protocols are going to be. They're not finalized on that, but it's certainly something we've paid a lot of attention to. But I like where we are right now, specifically maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we were. I like where we are right now compared to there, because there was a little bit of time in there where we were like, man, this is going to be a big challenge. And I think as guys came in, there were some surprises that were nice, and then so I feel good where we're at.
Do you feel like those deterrents that the league has put in place have helped to get that number up?
Yeah, I can't imagine they haven't. You know what I mean? They're pretty strong. You know, and I think when our players really started to become educated about what was going to happen and how their daily life here was going to be, I think that probably certainly helped some things. But at the end of the day, there are personal decisions. There's a lot of health things involved in that. I think kind of our tier staff that is around our team every day is 100%, and then I don't know where we are percentage-wise right today, but we've increased significantly over the last 3 weeks.
Who do you expect Zadarius, Kevin, and Kingsley to practice?
Say that again?
Non-injury footballers. Zadarius Smith,
yeah.
Kingsley Kiki, Kevin King.
Yeah, these are, we had a bunch on the list yesterday, I'm sure you guys saw. This is just kind of part of the entry physical. These are all short-term things, nothing we're concerned about long-term.
Brian, how did you see your team come together despite all of the off-season drama? You talked about your team, like how much you love this team. You got 21.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's a lot of distractions this offseason. But I really do believe in the guys in that locker room. I think we got some really strong leaders. And it's like a lot of things when there's all this noise, but then when the games start, the practices start, you start preparing for a season. I think professional football players know how to turn the page and move forward, and that's what I expect of all of them.
Anything more in person? All right, we're going to turn over virtually. Sarah, go ahead.
Great. We just have a few in here. Go ahead, James Allen.
Hey, Brian, you kind of just touched on it, but, they always say, football is the ultimate team game. Chemistry is so key. How do you prevent it from becoming an us versus them? How convinced are you that things are going to come together? Is that an issue in your mind?
Yeah, I don't think, Lance, that's a good question. I don't think it's an issue, but it's really, quite frankly, this is up to the players. I think obviously Matt does a great job kind of structuring our team and the message that he sends, but at the end of the day, and that's always how it's been. Our players, if they want to accomplish what they want to accomplish, they got to put, some certain individual things aside for the team and come together as a team. And when we've had really, really good teams, they've been able to do that. And when we haven't, that's been a problem. But like I said, I really like the character of the group of men that are in that locker room. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges. There always is every year. And it's their job to figure out how to overcome them.
Kyle from WFRB.
Hey, Brian, I think maybe the forgotten man in all this might have been Jordan Love. He comes into OTAs and he can't. Takes first team reps all throughout that, and I assume in his mindset, as a competitor, he might think, hey, I might have a shot at being quarterback number one. And with communication being the big topic in this presser and this offseason, being transparent, did you or Matt LaFleur talk to Jordan Love at all within the last 72 hours when you found out that Aaron Rodgers was going to show up to camp, and maybe his role going through this season, and what were those conversations like?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm sure Matt, because they had meetings all yesterday, so I'm sure they've talked to him. I have not talked to Jordan since we reported yesterday, but throughout the offseason, there's been really good communication. He understands, and he's a great young man, and I think he's equipped to handle all this. But we also have to understand that we're one play away from him being quarterback one, just because that's the nature of our game. And so like this offseason, the reps for him were invaluable. This preseason and training camp are going to be invaluable, and he's got to prepare like he is going to be the guy. So from his mindset, I don't think any of that changes, and I like where he's at.
Scott Brodsky.
Hey Brian, I can't get too many details. What have you seen from the last 2 years from Randall since he went to Dallas and Houston, of how his hands modeled on the field?
Yeah, again, there'll be a time for me to answer that question. Right now, he's a member of the Houston Texans, and so I can't talk about players on other teams, but there'll be a time for that question.
Chris Rock.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned that it is a bit on the team for developing a culture and not being distracted, but Matt's done a really great job, obviously, in the first 2 years of developing culture. What about him gives you the confidence that he can handle this situation this year?
Yeah, I just think it's important to him. He's kind of a relentless communicator. You know, I think it's he doesn't let things get to the point where it becomes a problem. I think his staff does a great job with that. So I do, again, not only the staff that Matt surrounded our players with, but then the players we brought in too. I just think the character of the team and the way Matt handles them, I think we're going to be able to handle the obstacles that are thrown our way.